Childbirth plus Grey's Anatomy, honestly, like, what could be better? Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, welcome. I'm Dr. Nicole. I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist, which is a very long way of saying I care about women's health and everything related to your pelvic floor and your lady parts. I'm pretty sure Teddy from Grey's Anatomy is gonna have a baby today, and I can't wait, so let's just jump right in.
Because I don't even have a nursery yet, but I didn't ever make it to the birthing classes, and Owen and I haven't even talked about baby names, and there's a really good man back in my apartment putting together a changing table, and he's not even the baby's father, so she would be so mad at me. Still, she would rub my back and she would say, "Baby girl, I am always on your side no matter how wrong I think you are."
Bummer that she never took a birth class. They can be so extremely helpful when it comes to childbirth. There's a lot of things such as breathing, how to manage pain, knowing what your options are. I think it's really important to know what things could happen during your labor, and even if you're not a person who's like, I really want like this strict birth plan, it's still a really good idea to have some kind of an idea of how you would like things to go, or at least know what could happen during your birth. It's really unfortunate that she never made it to a birth class, but life happens. Obviously, in the show, she's a surgeon, so I would imagine she is extremely busy.
Oh, wow, God, oh, God. Okay, first contraction. Holy ow.
Usually contractions, like the first contraction, is not going to be that strong. Obviously every birth experience is totally different, but for the most part your first contraction is going to be something that you're like, was that even a contraction? It's gonna feel a little bit like cramping during your period, or tightening of your stomach muscles. It's uncomfortable, but typically it is not that strong.
What are you doing? Why don't you go? Let's call an ambulance. If the next one comes in under 3 minutes, we'll call an ambulance. If not, we are fine to drive.
And obviously, like her friend said, usually until the contractions are close together, she said 3 minutes. Typically you hear the 4-1-1 rule or the 5-1-1 rule, which means you want your contractions to be 4 minutes apart or 5 minutes apart, lasting for 1 minute for a duration of 1 hour, and that's usually a time when you're like, okay, like this birth is gonna happen really soon. But if it's less than that, then you've probably got a while, you've got time to get to the hospital and different things like that. Now, of course, some births progress really quickly, and you could go from like the first contraction to things happening really fast, and in that case you'd want to get to the hospital right away. But it's a great idea to time them like you saw them doing in this clip here, because you really are using contractions to gauge how close you are to giving birth.
Something's wrong. What's wrong? Something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. You crowding. Sometimes mothers with geriatric pregnancies tend to. Did you say geriatric? It's just the term. I know the term. I'm just saying, try not to add to my pain.
All right, huge tip here to anyone that's in the medical field, nurses, doctors, physical therapists, doulas, anyone that might be near a pregnant person. Never ever use the word geriatric in front of a mom giving birth. Now, yes, there is such a thing as a geriatric pregnancy. Typically, this is when you are giving birth or having a baby anywhere over the age of 35. It's considered a geriatric pregnancy, and it means there's different risks involved the older that you are. And even if that's true, you really don't want to say things like geriatric pregnancy in front of your patient.
What you're feeling right now is called the ring of fire. Do I keep pushing? No, you wait until the next contraction. Oh God, come on!
The ring of fire. You may have heard of this before. If you have not, yeah, it is kind of like it sounds. It's not very pleasant to experience during childbirth, but basically it means the skin around the opening of your vagina is stretching quite a bit, and when that happens, obviously it's really uncomfortable. Yes, your skin is made to like stretch and it has flexibility, but when you think of the amount that it's going to stretch for a baby to come out, that's a lot. And so that stretching sensation is often called the ring of fire. One of the biggest things that helped me during my pregnancy, during my labor, was when my midwife put hot compresses, just like tap water hot. I've heard of women taking crock pots to the hospital or having crock pots at their home birth, but basically takes a hot compress and pushes up around the perineum, that skin that's stretching, and just puts a little bit of pressure there with that hot compress, and I'm telling you, it made a huge difference during my labor and delivery, and I would highly recommend it to any women. Talk to your midwife, talk to your OBGYN, see if this is something they can do. If you're hiring a doula or if you have a support person that's really on top of it, this is like the best way that you can help during that pushing phase when things are starting to happen, that skin is stretching. It's just really, really uncomfortable. The one thing I just really can't ignore about this scene, it just kind of bothers me, is that the only people in the room in this scene are Teddy and Owen and the OBGYN. More than likely, this is not going to be what's going to happen if you're giving birth in the hospital. Even at a home birth where there's less people, there's still probably going to be your midwife, some kind of an assistant, a doula maybe if you have one. Just there's more than just the person delivering your baby. There are nurses, and honestly they're the people that are going to be with you throughout the duration, especially if, you know, pushing takes a long time. There is usually a staff member dedicated to the safety of baby to make sure that when baby comes out everything looks really good. They have the things to help baby start breathing if anything goes wrong there, and there's a lot more hustle and bustle going on. It's nice to think that, oh, it's just this like intimate moment with a few people, but the truth is, especially in the hospital, there's just a lot more going on than is shown in this scene, which is obviously for TV purposes, so it's totally fine, but just know it could be a little more chaotic than that in your room when you're about to give birth.
I thought it was coming on now.
I know this is supposed to be the really beautiful moment, but it hurts like a mother. Oh my God.
I gotta see this guy.
No way. Whatever's happening down there is not pretty.
Listen, Teddy, I ain't seen men rip limb from limb.
I know, but you will not see the war between my legs. You'll thank me later. No more PTSD. Okay, another one.
Props to the OBGYN for making sure that Teddy is only pushing during contractions. It's really important that we work with our body as much as possible. So the more that you can push with contractions, the less you are going to be fighting against things that your body is naturally doing. When you have a contraction, your uterus is literally contracting and trying to push the baby out. You want to use that physiological thing going on in your body. Push, not bear down and hold your breath, but exhale, moan, open up your pelvic floor muscles as much as possible, make room for baby to come out. Yes, there is some pushing sensations. It'll feel a lot like pooping, but the more you can do that with the contractions and with what your body is naturally doing, the better. There's such a thing as like coach pushing, where they just say, okay, every so often we're gonna push, versus letting your body push with the contractions, and that is definitely what I would say is better for your body, going to prevent tears and just be a better experience for mom. And I know Teddy's saying like, this is supposed to be a beautiful moment, but honestly the pushing part is not like the highlight of this this experience. The highlight is when your baby actually comes out, it doesn't hurt anymore, and you get to hold that bundle of joy for the first time. That's usually the more like joyful, picture perfect moment than trying to fit a head out of a typically very small hole.
Good. So her head is halfway out. Just one more gentle push on the next contraction. I have to push now. You wait or you tear. 30 seconds. Breathe.
This OBGYN is seriously blowing my mind with all her nuggets of wisdom, amazing advice to do things to prevent tearing, and yes, in that moment when the baby's head is like right there, it feels like you just want to push and get that baby out, but the more you can work with your body, help use the cues of your midwife or OBGYN to tell you when good times to push are to prevent tearing, is going to make your postpartum healing experience just a little bit better, because it's hard enough as it is. That glorious, glorious moment when your baby is finally born and it's all over. Oh, it's just like, it's such a relief. I'm not going to try to explain it because I can't. One thing I do want to say is, obviously in this scene, they were trying to focus on your options, your birth options, but just know that the cord is not always cut right away. It doesn't have to be cut right away. In fact, we know that there is a lot of benefit to delayed cord clamping, which basically means they let the blood flow from the placenta, the last bits of blood in there from mom, to the baby, and once that cord stops pulsing like that, then they go ahead and clamp it and cut it, and it does not have to be right away. In fact, that blood is really good for baby, so to get every last ounce of it is a really good thing. And then the other thing is that Teddy could have had her gown open so that you could do skin to skin right away. Totally fine if you're not up for that, but we do know that putting baby skin directly on adult skin or mom and dad's skin is going to help balance baby's blood sugar. The oxytocin is going to flow freely between you. You're going to use your body heat to warm up baby, and just a lot of really good things. So if that's something that you're interested in, just know that that can happen. For me, my midwife was actually like, oh yeah, like when we were getting close, like, do you want to take that sweatshirt off that I had been wearing at the hospital? It was like, do you want to unbutton that gown or take your sports bra off? It doesn't have to be a sports bra, that's just what I was doing. Just to make sure that your skin is open and available and ready for baby. But I do love that they made baby actually look a little bit realistic to what a baby would look like after it was born. There is going to be blood. We've talked before about vernix and my other reaction to the Fuller House birth scene, but there is going to be kind of a messy situation going on in baby, and it's really good for baby. So wiping all that off or bathing right away is not necessary and probably not recommended, because there's a lot of really good stuff in that vernix that is covering your baby. Births just give me all the warm fuzzies. If you've ever had a baby or been at a birth, or maybe you just love gushing over TV births, you know what I mean. It's just, if you know, you know, right? If you'd like another dose of warm fuzzies today, I reacted to Kimmy Gibbler's birth over in Fuller House in this video over here. You might want to head there next if you just can't get enough of TV births. Otherwise, it has been a total pleasure hanging out with all of you, and I will see you in the next video.